Hi, my name's Caroline Pope, and this is my Animal Communication Breakthrough.
Caroline, welcome and thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Can you tell me, how did you get started in this? Because I think, weren't you one of the first animal communicators in Australia or in your area?
I started pre-internet, way back in the Stone Age, yes. Read a book. I used to frequent a New Age store fairly regularly. It was one in the local area. And she came up to me one day and said, because she knew I was an animal nut, and said, oh, there's this new book that's come out on animals. I thought you might want to read it. And it was Communicating with Animals, surprise, surprise, by Arthur Myers, the journalist who was not an animal communicator. He wrote it from a journalistic point of view. And the opening words in the book were, I am a skeptic. And with my veterinary nursing background, that grabbed my attention. And I sat up till, I think it was 2:45 in the morning to finish it.
So you read the book, and then what was your next step to try to get into?
Staggered out of bed in the morning and ran down the horse paddock before work. And the first horse that I walked past, Roni, said to me, and I heard it, I need clean water. And I honestly thought I was hearing things. And I've walked and I've looked and, oh my God, this horse has no water. It's a miracle. It took me 2 years to hear anything again.
Oh, after
Straight
the
like
first
that.
one? Oh.
Yeah, I wasn't even looking for it and heard it. And poor old Roni, everyone used to comment on it from that day on. He'd be walking up and the laneway and his owner would be on a halter. He'd see me, he'd stop. He'd be eyeballing me, obviously trying to tell me something again. I don't know what happened. I mean, he'd be dead now, obviously. But yeah, I never heard anything from him again. But yeah.
Wow.
So a lot of the people in the book I actually wrote off to a couple of the communicators in the book. And one of them, Kate Riley, I don't know whether she's still practicing now, actually wrote back. Now, remember, this is snail mail, 6 weeks, overseas ship post, not email. I wrote off to a couple of them, actually, but Kate took, and I've still got the letter to this day. She was great. And everyone had suggested doing Reiki because that's how they got into it. So I did Reiki through the New Age shop and hated it. There was not a snowball's chance in hell I was ever doing Reiki too. Then my horse got sick and his gum colour was, about the colour of that.
Oh.
And the Ross River virus. And the vet said, call a knacker. Nothing you can do. Haven't seen one this sick in a long time. Sorry, kid. All over. Desperate people do desperate things. So I went up to Martine, her name is, Martine Salerno, who owned the New Age shop, the Blue Angel, and said, can you do, a healing? Of course, Caroline, not a problem. Apparently bolts out the door, rings her Reiki master. What do I do? I've never done an animal before. Oh, my God. But I never heard any of this. She was calm, professional, had the breakdown out the back when I wasn't there. So anyway, she's done the healing on old Docky. And then she's rung me and said, listen, I've finished. There's a couple of things here that have come up I think you should know. So I've dawdled down the store, grabbed a bit of paper and had a look at it. And Martine's tapped into animal communication. So I've gone down the paddock with his piece of paper in hand, grabbed Doc, hauled him into the stable because no one was going to see me talking to a horse. They'd think I was nuts. How things have changed. And grabbed this bit of paper and said, right, Martine says you say this. This is my response. She reckons you say that. Well, this is what I've got to say about it. The next day, Doc's gum colour was normal, and he was almost 100%.
Oh, wow. So
And
he just wanted to be heard.
he never got any of the arthritis, the heart problems, any of the regular secondaries, and they couldn't explain it. So do you think I was jumping up and down and going, woohoo, you healed? No, I'm going, oh, shit, now I've got to do Reiki too. And which I went ahead and did for obvious reasons. And ultimately, that was how I could tap into communication. But face-to-face stuff couldn't do. And I gave myself so many migraines. I used to be a migraine sufferer anyway. But no matter how I felt, every single day I was trying to tap in. And I was getting some answers through Reiki too. But yeah, I wasn't able to get face to face for over 2 years.
2 years. You just worked at it every
So
day
if
for
at
two
first you
years.
don't succeed, you keep trying and throwing up and trying and throwing up. You get the general gist. So yeah, it was a long, 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 painful time.
And then one day it just changed.
Yeah, ironically, it was a holistic vet who said to me, "Oh, yeah, obviously word had got out." And I went, "Look, I can only get stuff through Reiki. I can't do it face to face." And she said, "Well, come along because this is a really weird case, and you never know." And it just gelled, and I went to start, and then heard, "You don't need to do that." Oh my God, what did I just hear? And that was it. And I think part of it was because I'd been trying with my own animals. And you never work with your own to start with, because it's like, a clairvoyant never reads for themselves. A doctor doesn't treat their own kids. You need to remain detached.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, post-internet, when I was doing a bit more research and I'd done a bit more personal development, 95% of people get clairvoyance, the vision, seeing stuff, clairaudience, they hear, or clairsentience, they feel. You walk in, cat's got kidney problems, you walk in, oh my God, my lower back, my kidneys, must have kidney problems. I don't get any of that. So cat hair. I'm claircognizant. It's a just knowing. So of course, because I'm reading and talking to people, and I was expecting to get something. It's very subtle. Unfortunately, it's never like Monty Python in The Life of Brian, the big booming voice. It doesn't happen that way, sadly. So I'm looking to get something in the way that other people get it. And naturally, I don't do it that way. And so I think that was also one of the major things for me. Once I realized, hey, I'm weird, I'm different, again, it all started to come together.
All right. Wow. That's quite a story. So it started coming together. You started getting a feel for your own style. And then what? Did you start offering services?
Yeah, pretty much. There was because my background was vet nursing, and there was a holistic vet there. Actually, one of the dogs that had skin problems there, I wound up taking. And I'll never forget him. One day I should actually try and talk with him again. He was a great dog, but he was really, really ill. And I was the first person that had seen him rather than the skin condition. I actually took him on, and ultimately we had to let him go. He was just too damaged. But I started working with him with Reiki because it was still more. And of course, I was just, oh my God, this dog is so bad. So of course, the fear kicks in. I had to go back to the Reiki stuff. I was still very much in that kind of integration phase. And I'll never forget, he turned around and he said to me, "Why is it more people don't use energy? Is it they're afraid of it, or does it bring them to question their religious beliefs?"
Oh.
Well, that was all in the early days, a little too much, and my brain just went, wah! And yeah, we never really continued that conversation, but that was one of the early ones I'll never forget. That was,
Wow.
It was pretty profound. So yeah, worked, she was fabulous. I actually work back there now with the Ness Health Therapy, as well as the communication side of it, and the craniosacral therapy 1 day a week. And just, word got out, and people started asking, and it all just built up from there over a period of years, because of course back in those days no one had heard of animal communication. So most people thought I was really weird, and always remember, "Oh, you're nothing like what I expected. Oh, I'm sorry if I had long hair, purple, long, fringy things, and went and talked about God, you feel more comfortable?" Yeah. That was how it was. And of course, blokes were, "Oh my God, you mean you can tap into me?" Why the bloody hell would I want to? That was another one. But it wasn't known about. So the people that went, "Oh yes, I believe you totally," were the ones I'd be going, "Oh my God, here's another." But it's very much the greatest skeptics are the greatest converts. And I mean, I now have, particularly for me in the early days of veterinary industry, but I have plenty of referrals from vets now, because I guess I've worked in the industry for so long. And I'm practical.
Well, I'm so glad that you did have your awakening and your breakthrough, and you're doing what you're doing because you're in a niche that nobody else is. It's your personality and your way of doing things, and you're helping people who are like-minded, and that people.
Yeah, and everybody, as you say, everyone does stuff differently. There's the ones that do the emotional stuff, past lives, all that kind of stuff. Everybody approaches it, because mine is a veterinary nursing background and very practical. I bring that to it. So that's why I have vets ringing me. Can you scan and tell me what you think is the matter with? Other people that have emotional, I work with a brilliant Bowen therapist, homeopath, and communicator. She's amazing. She works much more on the emotional aspect. I send her a lot. I'll go, yeah, I could do it, but she's much better than I am with this kind of stuff. Everybody brings their own stuff to the table. Mm-hmm. And that's why, in the original days, they were stuck with me. They might not like me, but I was the only one doing what I did. Now you've got much more in the way of variety, I guess, of different aspects of. We all bring it to the table, but it's which one resonates for that particular person and that particular animal, because you're going to have 2 or 3 animals in the one family. They could be better off with 2 or 3 different people.
Yeah, and that's important for the clients to know when they're choosing a communicator, and it's important for the learning communicator to know that they just need to find their own superpower and
go and see several different styles of communication, because the way I teach is very different to other people. A lot of communicators love meditation, and don't get me wrong, meditation is fabulous if you do it. I don't, I won't, and I'm a coffee addict. Coffee is not bad. No animal will talk to me before I've had at least 3. So my approach is, caffeine fueled and very different. And, taking as one of my cats used to say, your truth is not my truth. Pulling the bits that work out of 3 or 4 different styles helps to enable you to bring up your own.
Yeah. Oh, that's great to know. Well, thank you, Caroline, so much for.
Thank you.
Your advice is perfect, and your story is great and very inspiring. So thank you so much.
And you don't need to give yourself that many migraines to get it. But if at first you don't succeed, you will get there.